Welcome to Two Dudes, One Movie Podcast, the podcast where two dudes dive into cinematic masterpieces from a different decade each week. Right now, we're in between seasons, and so instead of our regular scheduled programming, we're here with something new. It's time for some debates. And our debate today is going to be all about rom-coms, but not just any rom-com, Tom Hanks rom-coms. Rick, we're debating which Tom Hanks rom-com is better, Sleepless in Seattle or You've Got Mail? So this should be an interesting one. I have my opinions, you have your opinions. I think we should just jump into it. For those of you who don't know the rules, this is how it works. Both of us will get a chance to share our thoughts and opinions, and then we will have a short rebuttal session. During the first session, where we're sharing our thoughts and opinions, the other person is not allowed to speak, giving that individual the full platform to say whatever they want to say. But during the rebuttal session, we can go at it back and forth as much as we want. After that, it's up to you, the listener. You decide who wins and who loses the debate. So make sure you share, like, and comment who you felt like won today's debate. It's the only way for us to feel any emotional satisfaction. So we're counting on you, our listeners, to make your decisions known. And with that, Rick, I hand the ball over to you in your court.
Ooh, in my court, Park.
In your court, which Tom Hanks film is better? Or which rom-com specifically is Tom Hanks' best rom-com?
Park, we'll see if I can come a little better this week. Let's pause there. Restart. We'll see if I can start a little better this week. There we go.
Rick, are you
Park,
conceding?
You trashed me last week.
Are you conceding?
I'm not. I feel like I have to concede last week. I was not prepared, but Park, we're here with the greatest rom-com of the 90s, You've Got Mail.
Mm-hmm.
Park, I got a few points here. First, this is two tropes versus one trope, okay? We have Sleepless in Seattle, you just get one trope, right? You got the mystery person, the mystery girl, the mystery man. We see it all the time, right? It's been played on again. Here, you got both the secret identity, the mystery, and you got the enemies. Enemies, frenemies, Park. See, they're attacking us in here from two lanes, right? This is a wide highway. This isn't just your one-lane road. They're attacking us here. I also have Brinkley as a better supporting character than Jonah, which he's a dog, Park. He's a very cute dog, so had to say something there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like Sleepless in Seattle. Now, I will say here that I do feel like Sleepless in Seattle, I feel like both movies have characters that kind of gives you an ick for a little bit. To me, Sleepless in Seattle, there's stalker vibes in the movie. And then just throughout the movie, I feel like Tom's getting stalked a little bit. Just a little bit. I haven't seen this movie in, honestly, a minute. I did prep a little bit for this. But I definitely feel like we have some Meg Ryan goes a little bit stalker vibes. But I will also compete that and say that Tom Hanks is very not likable at all. Also, I guess Tom Hanks is likable. Tom Hanks in the movie You've Got Mail is not super likable, but I guess that kind of culminates to his whole point, right? I feel like a big criticism of this movie is if you look back on these two movies is Sleepless in Seattle is timeless, right? It's a little more, you can go back and you can understand things more and it doesn't feel dated. Where I think it's a strength that You've Got Mail is dated, right? I actually think it feels like you're like watching a time capsule. We talked about this in the podcast, whereas it feels like we're like almost taken back into the 90s and there's all these jokes about internet consuming people's lives when it's literally just AIM. I think that's awesome. I think it's great to like be almost like I'm placed back there in that exact moment in the 90s. That's actually my last point. I have a bullet point with no other typing.
All right, Rick, that's a heck of an argument there. All right,
You're up, Park.
I'm up. Rick, Sleepless in Seattle is considered one of the greatest and most romantic rom-coms of all time. And do you know how many scenes Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan share together in that film?
5, 1.
There you go. Essentially one, Rick. One scene. The mastery that is needed to go into the story to make you fall for these characters and for these characters to fall for each other without sharing any real meaningful screen time until the end is incredible. Now, You've Got Mail has a similar premise in the sense that these two aren't in the same space as much, but that film still has the two leads sharing the screen a multitude of times, and the whole romantic side of their relationship happens on screen, in person, in the latter half of the story, just like any other romantic comedy. Rick, most rom-coms build up relationships of the two leads together. Look at Harry Met Sally. Their story builds together. But Sleepless goes against the modern trends of the genre and says, nay. It instead focuses...
You're so passionate about this. I'm sorry.
It instead focuses on building up Tom and Meg's characters separately. Sam deals with overcoming the loss and death of his wife, his relationship with his son, and putting himself back out into the dating world. Annie deals with her engagement with her soon-to-be husband and whether she's really in love with him or not. Rick, these are two things that are happening separately for them to grow as individuals, to bring them eventually together. They're working through things on themselves. And again, that's why it works as a film, because it cares so deeply about its characters as individuals and realizes that sometimes to fall in love or to open yourself back up to love, you have to work through things on your own. Rick, while I believe both films are strong and enjoyable rom-coms, only one of them really pushes the genre forward in an innovative way on how to build and construct a romantic relationship. And the other? Well, you said it. It's just a time capsule of a past generation.
Which again, to me, is the greatest compliment of this movie. One thing we've seen the I feel like we've seen the same things of You've Got Mail done again and again, right? It inspired generations. We see things that attempt to do Sleepless in Seattle, but it's just not great, Park, because the premise to me isn't there. Now the chemistry is there. Of course the chemistry is there. This is the greatest on-screen chemistry that you probably have in the 90s, right? In rom-coms.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm forgetting other rom-coms. So the chemistry doesn't need to be worked or tweaked or whatever at all in either of these movies, right? So I'm focused. So to me, I don't think it's that great of a feat that they're working on themselves separately to be reunited via radio and stalking, Park.
Rick, something that you brought up in your stance is that they are frenemies, that they're friends and enemies, and You've Got Mail. And mind you that this is a romantic comedy. Why are people enemies in a romantic
Park,
comedy?
You're telling me when did you start liking girls, Park? 3rd or 4th grade? I don't really know. When does that start?
Rick, I know exactly where you're going with this, and let me ask you, is Tom Hanks in 3rd or 4th grade in this film?
He's not, but Park, it's reminiscent of this though. I even think about, we know people, and I will not name drop here, that are married that didn't like each other to begin with. I'll let you know this after. I really can't name drop anyone here. So I guess it's not a compelling argument right now. But it happens a lot more than you think, Park, because just as where, like, just in real life, I feel like where hate and love, they're very close together, right? Like we always say, there's always this thing that the opposite of hate is love, but it's not actually true, right? The opposite of hate is not caring at all. Very deep, right? It's because love and hate, they're both there because a lot of care goes into both of them, right? They're always on the mind when you hate someone. They're always there. Same as love, Park. We love someone, they're always on the mind. And then it just takes a little knock at the door, Park, a little visit to the bookstore.
Well, you know, Rick, you're talking about this in the sense of, you know, comparing it to real life love and stuff like that. But my argument is, don't people go to the movies for the movies, for the movie theater love, for the escapism? Sleepless in Seattle delivers on that. It puts that pedestal, it puts that love on a pedestal, the romantic love that's going to work out no matter how far apart, no matter how unrealistic and unimaginable. That love conquers, and that is Park, entertainment.
Using that little topic though, if I'm going to the movie to see an amazing love story that can't happen in real life, then we might as well just crown Shrek as the greatest love story of all time, which very well might be. But it's not.
That's for a different debate. Part. That's a different debate.
That's for a different debate.
Well, Rick, you know, you talked about You've Got Mail and one of its strongest attributes being that it's a time capsule, and I have to argue that that's just you looking through a nostalgic lens. I think if you bring a younger generation who wasn't around during that email and AIM era, who didn't live through that, you know, Gen Zers now, there's not going to be that same emotional appeal. And I think
it's going to be funnier. I think it could easily be funnier though.
Maybe, but more or less, I think majority of them would pick Sleepless in Seattle over You've Got Mail.
But there's still things happening in Sleepless in Seattle. I guarantee you a Gen Zer doesn't listen to these same radio shows they're listening to in Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, well.
So both of these movies have things that Gen Zers will never understand, Park.
That's fair, but the radio is still a relevant piece of medium today.
Also, aren't I Gen Z? Park, I'm a Gen Zer.
Sorry, I'm not. I'm a millennial.
So, yeah, I'm Park. You've Got Mail as a Gen Zer. You've Got Mail. Wow. It's such a great movie, Park. I do want to end this, Park. I want to come together. This is not the only two Tom rom-coms of this couple in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. I think Joe and the Volcano was also in the 90s, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I have to go look back.
Could we come together and say that both of these are miles over? Is it Joe and the Volcano or Joe versus the Volcano?
I don't even know, but yes, I can agree with you on that.
Okay, we'll come together for a moment.
But Rick, I have to crush you one more time before we end this podcast. You said that Tom Hanks' character, Joe Fox, in You've Got Mail, is not likable. That's a huge part of a rom-com. You want your two leads to be likable, Rick. You want to like them so that you can like the relationship and you can enjoy what's being built there.
I don't necessarily agree with that at the start. I think if you look at any form of comedy, drama, anything, rom-com, horror, having a character that you can have opinion about and how you could feel, and you have like reasons to not like them or reasons of something, like that feels... That's what makes the movie entertaining. That's what makes you want to continue to watch the movie.
Sure, but
and also there's a point to Joe Fox. There's a point to the character.
Yeah, there's a point
that like develops the story, right? It moves the story along.
There's a point to it, and it moves the story along. But at the same time, he's unlikable. And yes, he does have that transformation towards the end of the film. But he's unlikable. It's a
beautiful transformation.
He's unlikable for 3/4 of the film.
Park.
And you know what?
Unlikable.
He puts her out of business. He gets her dream bookstore shut down that her mother founded, and there's no resolution for that, Rick. There's none.
So you're telling me in The Man Called Otto, his life was just a waste because he might have been unlikable the majority of his life?
Rick.
His
begrudging behavior in that film is what makes him so likable to the general audience. But at the same time, what does A Man Called Otto have to do with anything about You've Got Mail or Sleepless in Seattle?
real life circumstances is, Park, because I'm just saying, if someone is unlikable for 3/4 of their life and at the end they they begin to care, they begin to do these things, and people love them and accept them, that's going to be what they remember, Park.
Sure, that's
They're not gonna
fine, but
remember the
I
hateful
remember
things.
the whole two-hour movie, and I remember that for an hour and a half of the movie, I didn't like that character.
This was a 2-hour movie.
It might as well have been.
I don't think this was a 2-hour movie. If it was, it felt like an hour and a half, Park.
Whatever it may be. But
Also, the vital point of rom-coms, Park, is what we've been saying all season long, is there is a section for rom, and there is, gosh darn, a section for com.
Well,
Park.
Rick,
we got to give both equal.
and
hold on, Park. Hold on. Calm your tots, please.
all right, they're calm.
The com in this movie is objectively better. We'll just throw that word around like it's nothing, like we did last week. Objectively better than Sleepless in Seattle.
Well, the rom is objectively better than in You've Got Mail. So what does that really mean?
I have
Also,
no idea what that means.
Rick, you're jumping the gun here. These folks, these fine listeners who are listening to this podcast have no idea what the rom and the com scale are.
Yeah, that's true.
These debates are coming out way before season 2, mister. So that whole argument is irrelevant because they don't understand. They just don't.
I think it's going to get them more hyped up to see what our new rating system is.
Yeah, we do have a great rating system.
Either way, you need 2 parts to make a movie. I think the rom in this movie is equal to that of Sleepless in Seattle, where I think the com surpasses Sleepless in Seattle, which that is where I conclude that this is the better movie.
Rick, well, I appreciate your thoughts and insights, as wrong as they may be, but
Park, that's subjective. I thought this is an objective podcast.
well, you know what? Nonetheless, it's been another great debate. But again, the winner and loser doesn't come down to us. It comes down to you, the listener. So please, like, comment, share. Let us know who won and lost this debate. It's the only way we're going to be emotionally satisfied after this. So again, thank you so much for listening to Two Dudes, One Movie podcast. We appreciate everyone who tunes in, and we can't wait to have you join us on the next debate.
You got mail. Park, I'm excited. We just hung out the other weekend, Park. We had our little vacay together. We dreamed, we chatted, we rested, and we're ready to get going. Get going on season 2. Especially when our audio quality dips a little bit for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Apologies to everyone out there. We record the first 3 or 4 episodes of season 2 on our old mic setup, and then we upgraded to what you are hearing today. So you'll have to deal with the
little sneak peek.
Yeah, you'll have to deal with the old sound for a little while. But hey, nostalgia. That's what we're about. Nostalgia. That's going to give you nostalgic vibes hearing that again.
That is true, Park. Well, Park, what I guess, can we say what our first movie is going to be? 'Cause that's going to come out the next week.
Rick. Yeah, we could yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's just do it. You know what are the rules? We have no rules. We can do whatever we want. Rick, why don't you tell the audience what it's going to be?
Are you asking me because you don't remember?
No, I remember, Rick. You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Rick, we are going to be from the 1950s watching in the romantic comedy genre Sabrina, starring Audrey Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart. So very excited to chat about that or re-listen to our chat, which we already had about that, Rick. It's going to be It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, because it was not, Park, actually, it's not pre-recorded. What are you talking about? We're having that chat soon.
That's true, yes. It's coming up. And we're going to go back to our old mics just because we want to.
We feel like every time we visit a 50s to 60s, 70s to possibly 80s movie.
We should just upgrade our audio quality to balance out to what decade it's from.
And the video quality.
I would love to have that high pass filter. I love the sound of like old school reporters from the 50s. Hello there, everybody. My name is Parker Bonner, and you're listening to Two Dudes, One Movie Podcast. You know
we can do the same audio quality. We have to go to the silent area. We can do the same audio quality as the silent era.
The silent era. Yeah, perfect.
That's a good dad joke, Park.
Translate well into the podcast format for sure.
I think it will. We'll just have subtitles and notes.